Hello and welcome back to Accessible Photography with Alistair MacDonald. And today I'm at the Alta Museum in Norway, and it's a museum, not just a museum, it's a World Heritage Site. And it's for rock art that dates back 2 to 7,000 years. And I'm going to try and get pictures of the rock art with a form of landscape in the background. I'm not even sure if it's possible, but I'm going to give it a try. At the very least, you'll get some images of rock art created an awful long time ago. It's worth a visit. I've had a look around the inside of the museum. It's absolutely fascinating. But let's go and see if we can find some rock art before this weather changes, because we've been dodging thunderstorms all day. We are in the Arctic Circle, so we can't expect to have good weather all the time. So what you saw there and just behind me here, the new build is the Olufsen household, and it's now part of the Alta Museum, and the old buildings here are part of that as well. And what they're saying is that at the end of the war, in the autumn of 1944, the population of the area, and this whole area is called Finnmark, was evacuated to other parts of Norway, and the retreating Nazi army coming back out of Russia burnt to the ground every single building except churches as they retreated through the countryside. So every building, apart from the churches, is no older than 1945. So there's a wrecked building here. I'm not sure if this is what was burnt out. There's nothing saying. But the new building beyond that I just showed you, the yellow one, that was built in the late 1940s for the Olufsen family. And if I'm not mistaken, it was them that discovered the carvings in this area. I'll look that up in a minute. I'm probably wrong. Anyway, let's go and find the carvings. Yeah, the weather's looking fun. So I'm heading off in this direction now to where the rock art is all highlighted in red, so it's easy to see. So I'm just about to reach the first rock art area, but take a note of where the water is compared to how high the rock art is, because the rock art was actually created basically on the beach, as the rocks at the beach side have no lichen and mosses and so forth on them. It made like a plain canvas for people to scratch on and make their art. But now the rock art is quite a few meters above the sea level, and the reason for that is that after the Ice Age, the land started to rise up out of the water, initially quite fast, and then slowed down as the pressure released. But it's still rising today, even to today, it is rising out of the water all the time. So this artwork is getting higher and higher away from the water. And what they discovered, and how they were able to prove this, is the older the artwork, the higher up it is. So where it's down closer to the water, it's only a couple of thousand years old, but where it's further up, it's up to 7,000 years old. And you can also see from the artwork, the older stuff is very, very basic, almost childlike drawings. And after a few thousand years, they've developed their skills a lot more, and they can depict boats properly and animals properly, and it's far more understandable what they're actually drawing. So the first rock art I find is actually completely against what I said. It isn't painted at all. And basically it's this, but I can't see it clearly because the light is wrong. It's a very flat light, and you really need a low sun to cast shadows over it. I was thinking about bringing a flash unit and setting it up to try and get that effect, but I wasn't brave enough to do that. But as I move round, I can start to see the carvings appear to me. I can see what I think is an elk just down here. See if you can see it. There's several animals on the edge of the rock. See if you can see them. So this isn't exactly what I had planned. I wanted to try and get some landscape in, but I'm going to take the challenge to photograph this artwork that you can barely see with the naked eye. So settings aren't really important because not many of you are going to be doing this, but what I'm going to do to try and get as much detail is take my ISO down to 64. I'm going to make the f-stop about f4, which in this light gives me a 1/60th of a second. And I'm going to zoom in on the piece that I like, if it would actually work. Oh yeah. And there we go. So we'll walk that off, like that. What I'm going to do is put a shutter delay on, just so I don't get any shake on the camera, even though it's quite a fast shutter speed. I just like to have that safety aspect. So it's taking the first picture, see what it's there, and in this light you can barely see the screen, let alone any rock art. But yeah, I can see the rock art. It looks a bit fuzzy, but I can see the rock art. That's just one possible elk. Let's just see, I can see it on here. It's not telling me what it is, but I'm photographing that thing there. So I found the painted ones, they're just over here. And what I didn't realise was a little viewing platform up here that I'm going to get myself up onto, looking down onto the rock art, and hopefully get some of that landscape in the background as the rain is coming over the hills and into the fjord. So I'm just going to put my book away because I think the rain's starting. I don't want that getting wet. And I'm thinking what might be best here is the wide angle lens. Although, might get away with the 70. Looks like a nice view there. What I need is the depth of field or focus stacking. There's a section right under me which is really nice. I'm going to change lens. Definitely going to change lens. So I actually wonder if the rain comes, whether it'll actually make it a more interesting image. And have a nice shine on the rock as well. But I'll take the picture just now anyway and see what we get. Let's take the big lens cap off. Pull it back a little bit. I should be able to get everything in beautifully there. Yep. I'll just let you see what I'm actually doing just now. So this is what I'm setting up, and I want to be able to get all this in here, right up to the top. Now what this is doing is showing me if I want it for video, I really want to, the pictures for video, I want to pull it out a lot further and line it up like this. Because if I compose it for the normal frame size, it won't fit, will it? So let's just do that, get my horizontals right, which is very hard to see. There we are. So during that last piece to camera, the battery died on the new SONY. So I've got a spare, it's okay. I'm going to start again when this rain stops, because I'm now sitting out the rain, right beside the rock art. Because usually it can rain quite heavily, and then the sun comes back out again. So hopefully I'll get some images done very soon. The rock art is now, the rock itself is getting very, very wet, which could give some interesting effects. The end of the fjord is disappearing quite rapidly. I think we're on the edge of the rain. I can still see blue sky over there. I think we're just on the edge. The worst of it is definitely down that way. So I'll just sit here for a little while because it's too far to run back up to the building. So I may as well just stay here and get wet. Okay. Something just happened there. Yeah, oh, I got water droplets on the wee camera, that's what it is. Right, put everything away and catch you soon. Just explained, this camera died a little while ago. I picked it up on the phone just as it was pouring with rain. It's now stopped raining and I got some interesting shots just as the rain was finishing. So there's a really nice light. I'm hoping I captured that light and a nice shine on the rocks themselves. Really hope I've got that shine without actually losing the detail on the rocks. If I went down here looking up, at the moment you can't see the carvings at all because the sun's over there bouncing off the wet rock. You can't see. This is the best place to be just now. So hopefully I've got some nice images. I was just going to flip this again and put it back onto the portrait style, which is what I'd got to. I'm not sure if you saw that before the camera died. I'll put it onto portrait and see if we get a I was going to get a nice sky. I got a nice sky before. There's no nice sky. Have a look at that. There's no nice sky. I'm just going to leave it as it is. Take a picture here again and then move on. See if there's any other bits of rock art with a view. I have no idea how much you can see of me here because the sun's right there. I'm hoping you're getting an image. What I've got here is some really nice elk and bison and lots of four-legged animals. I can't really say exactly what they are, but it's very wet with the sun up there. So I'm using the polarizer to do the best I can to take the shine away, but to try and make sure it still looks wet. I think that's really important. It's not doing an awful lot at that angle, but I'll take the picture. I want the depth of field to be reasonably high, so I'm going to take it up to f11, now f16, because I really want to make sure it's all in focus. Okay, let's have a little look. Again, very hard to see what's in focus and what isn't. It is so bright here. That's not looking very good at all. I think I've got far too low a shutter speed. So I'm going to take the shutter up to, or the ISO up to 100, get the shutter speed back up in a second. There we go. Take it to f8, 80th of a second, focusing in the middle of the scene. I think that's better. It's very difficult to get the detail, but oh, it's absolutely gorgeous. If I can capture this well, this is gorgeous. And there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to capture this well. So what I'm doing just now is I'm bringing my hand down to cover up the sky, because the sky is very bright. And I want to make sure that the exposure is correct for what I'm aiming at. So if I do that, I can see exposure is on there. If I do that, it's overexposed. So the sky will be overexposed. I could do 2 shots, but the sky is not that important. Just going to get that there. Focus there. I'm going to focus stack it on this one just to be sure. Okay. So focus stacking this rock feature, that's 1. Near the top now. And checking the exposure, just slightly adjust it. That's 2. And then for the sky, I'm just going to take it right up to the top, that should be fine. And adjust the exposure for the sky. So I've got 3 shots for this one that'll blend together and hopefully get a good image. I like it. Apart from the fact I found a meteorological device at the top of the rock that really doesn't look right at all. But let's move on, the bus tour is arriving. I've set myself up, I'm just photographing the scene just now, and I've adjusted the polarizer to get the best light in the scene, because the sun's over here, I'm shooting that way, it's at 45 degrees, and that's when you get the best use out of your polarizer. So I've adjusted it, I think it's nice, it makes the colours pop, which is really, really important. Let's just take a wee picture. So it's f8, 1/2 of a second at 100 ISO. And it's basically showing this run down, that one coming down this way, and the lovely trees in between. But no rock art, I'll do that again in a minute. So what you saw here is an early depiction of their boat back probably between 4,000 and 7,000 years ago. On the front is an elk's head, because even back then the Stone Age man knew that the elks swam very, very well. And maybe they put the elk head on the front to try and give them that ability to swim through the water. Just going to see if we can catch it. Sun directly ahead of me, so it's very difficult. Again, I've got the polarizer, it might help. I seem to have a loose connection here. I'll lose my camera if I'm not careful. Directly into the sun. Just the polarizer to get the shine away, and then I've got an image of the boat. It's at a bit of an angle. So I'm going to turn that round. This is not a fancy shot, this is just a record. Pretty much the same settings as before. 125, f8, 100 ISO. So I also took an image of what looks like birds. I would say, yeah, the birds, probably chickens, a boat, and another elk, and something that looks very much looks a bit like a form of Loch Ness monster, so that could be very interesting. But yeah, I'm going to move on. I've got this bus tour chasing me all the way around. So this scene here is quite a challenge. I've got some wonderful boat art here, some elk, some people on the boat, even got people on the boat. So what I was trying to do was get those boats and the sea beyond, the Alta fjord beyond the boats. But what's been happening is I keep getting the shadow of myself and the ropes in. So the sun's just gone. I'm going to grab this shot right now and hopefully get it. Has the camera gone off? Yes, the camera went off. So the biggest problem I had was getting my horizons correct, because I'm trying to avoid the rope and the posts and get as much of below me as possible. The horizon's off a little bit. I'm going to bring it up so everything's in place. Make sure the focus is there and get that image. There we go. So that's me. I've been round that first loop and got the carvings that I've mostly painted in red so that we can see them a lot easier. I think I've got some good images there. I'm very pleased with what I've done today. Getting a bit tired though, but I've agreed to meet Ian and we're going to go and have a look at the unpainted carvings, which are just over here. He's getting me a bottle of water just now because I'm absolutely parched. We're going to wander around, and if I get any good photographs from that, I'm going to show them at the end, just after this. So what I'll say just now is I'll wrap up because as I say, I'm getting tired. And I'm going to say thank you very much for watching this far. Hope you enjoyed the pictures to come. And remember, get out, take pictures, and have fun.